Chairperson Moed, you are set.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This meeting is taking place entirely by teleconference via Zoom. The public is accessing the meeting via the Santa Ana YouTube channel or the city's website. The commission members and I, along with the executive director, recording secretary, and city staff are in different locations. Please bear with us as the technology may disrupt the flow of the meeting. I would like to call the September 23rd, 2021 Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission meeting to order at 5:33 p.m. Will the recording secretary please call roll?
Thank you, Chairperson. Commissioner Gomez?
Here.
Commissioner Nelson? Commissioner Torreblanca?
Here.
Commissioner Wu? Commissioner Ramirez?
Here.
Commissioner Moed?
Here.
You have a quorum, Chairperson.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Next on the agenda is a time for public comments. Recording secretary, does anyone wish to speak?
Yes, Chairperson, we do have comments on the queue. Before I begin, we did receive an email from the Santa Ana FC Corps regarding the nonprofit organization affiliated with Cal South Soccer Organization. They are asking that you consider the following points that Santa Ana FC suggests. We have been waiting since 2009 for a block of DYSC 4 on Wednesdays in Santa Ana Stadium, the block that is not assigned to any league. Number two, that it be reviewed which leagues have double blocks in DYSC 4 in Santa Ana Stadium. And number three, the program that is developed in a 100% educational and competitive environment. They are also have a top soccer program for special children, but because we do not have a space for them, we have not been able to put it into action. That was an email comment. We do also have we do have comments available today for the individuals in the comment queue, participants waiting to come in. We do let you know that you do have 3 minutes to make your comment at that set time. Then we would move on to a next individual for their comments. At this time, comment individual Jose Meza. You have been allowed into the comment area. Please make your comment. You have 3 minutes. Mr. Meza?
Yes, hello.
Yes, we can hear you, sir. You have 3 minutes to make your comment.
Well, I'm actually new in this, so I have no comments at this moment. So I guess I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Meza. We appreciate your comment.
117.
Next, we have guest 117. You have been unmuted. Please provide your comment. You have 3 minutes. Guest 117, you have been unmuted. Please provide your comment.
Bill, pardon me, recording secretary, I think it's only if they raise their hand, they want to speak. And I don't see any hands raised.
With that being said, callers, if you would like to make a public comment, could you please use the raise hand button at the bottom of the Zoom to alert us that you would like to provide a comment?
There's also people in the waiting room, so if they're not admitted, they can't raise their hands, is what I understand.
That may be the case. So what we'll do is we'll move on to the next. Please bear with us as we are.
Recording Secretary Sandoval, once the public comments start, no one else can be admitted. But since
That is correct.
this is the first time, just let everybody in,
Okay.
and we'll deal with that. And then just remind, if you can read the portion of the agenda that explains how people raise their hand and they *6 and all that, that would be fantastic.
Yes, Executive Director. At this point in time, we are trying to allow somebody to come in to provide a comment, but the system is has quite a bit of people, but we do have somebody. Comment Pearl Raya, you have been admitted in.
Okay. Hold on.
Okay,
Yes.
You have 3 minutes to make your comment.
Can you hear me?
is that from,
Yes, we can hear you, Ms. Raya.
Okay. Yes,
we
can I
can't
speak
hear
now?
her.
I'm sorry. Yes. Okay, you can hear me. My name is Pearl Raya. I wanted to come forth and I represent Raya Foundation. We do basketball and also use the fields. And we've been utilizing and working collaboratively with the city of Santa Ana for a while. I am a former city employee, so I really know the ins and outs sometimes regarding how to ask what I need to do. But I just wanted to share that our agency works very well with the agency. We may not be happy with the results that we get, but we work well and make sure that we provide a service to the community. I did share with management some concerns I had regarding the application. Some things are redundant and I don't feel that we need to share that with the city or provide those, but I did share that with them so they understood that. And we continue to work with them and make sure that we do not duplicate services on their time because we know how important it is to provide our community a good, well-rounded program. So just wanted to give them a positive remark about how they work with us and what I've seen with others, but we can always improve. I'm really concerned about the field allocations because I do also sit on the board with the Little League. I don't do soccer, so I know there's other issues with soccer, but maybe we need to have 2 committees in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Brian Lilly, you've been admitted into the room. You have 3 minutes to make your comment.
Hi, I'm just here to listen and see what's going on. No comments at this time. Thank you.
Can Lionel Perez mute your microphone?
Also, I think Karen Perez. Okay, she muted. Never mind.
Karen Perez, you have been admitted into the room. You have 3 minutes to provide your comment.
Hi, I'm Karen. I'm from United Latin Soccer League. I'm here with my dad, Lionel Perez. We had some comments about reservations that have been denied to us. we have had some proposals that we.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Ms. Perez, but I can't seem to hear you from my area. I'm not sure if anybody else is
Can't
able
hear
to
either. Cannot hear.
We're here regarding some of the reservations that we have been denied through Parks and Recreation.
Okay, welcome.
Still can't hear.
Welcome back to you, Ms. Perez. At this time, Santa Ana FC. You've been admitted into the room. Could you please provide your comment? You have 3 minutes.
Hello. I just joined. I just want to see what the meeting is going to be about. Thank you.
And I believe, Bill, that you read their email.
Yes.
Okay.
Guest 673. Go ahead, guest 673. You have 3 minutes.
Is that me? Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yes, that's you.
And then, okay, so if you guys can hear me, this is Pedro Magana. I represent Team 90 League with the Soccer Youth Program. And I just want to thank everybody for their time today. But I do have some concerns, like Pearl said earlier, about the allocations of the fields. My organization has been working together with. We're in it for the benefit of the youth in Santa Ana, but my concern mainly is because nobody tells us about the changes. Nobody. I've been trying to reach the director of Parks and Recreation, left her messages, text messages, and I do not get any kind of response. So I welcome change. I know the old policies and procedures are a little bit outdated and that they need to be revised and make changes for what the times that we're living right now. But I think it's unfair that we are being kept in the dark. For this meeting, we only got like a two notice. I haven't been able to go through the whole policies and procedures, so I can't really comment on what they're trying to do, but I ask the board to please do not come to any conclusions today at anything. And if you guys could make the recommendation for the director of Park and Recreation, meet with the league representative so we could go over this and work together for a better future in Santa Ana. Everybody.
Thank you, caller. Karen Perez, you have been admitted. You have 3 minutes to make your comment.
My name is Karen Perez. I'm calling from United Latin Soccer League. I was trying to raise some concerns regarding reservations as well.
We cannot hear.
We have had some proposals. Can you hear me now?
No, Karen, try the little microphone. Sometimes it's on the top.
Do you have the video and the Zoom up? You need to close one of them.
Okay, is this better?
One other thing that could be is your source of microphone. If you're using the phone itself or you're using headphones, that changes the audio input. If you're using headphones, I recommend you use just your phone's microphone. That'll probably be a lot better.
Okay, can you hear me?
Ms. Perez,
Ahorita nos vamos.
can you hear
Como
us,
quieras,
Ms.
if
Perez?
you want to. I'm gonna just brush my teeth.
Ms. Perez, while you work on that caller with 957, you've been admitted. Could you please provide your comments? You have 3 minutes. 957, caller with the last three numbers, 957.
Okay, then come on.
Okay, it seems we're having some issues with 957. Can we go back to Ms. Karen Perez? You have 3 minutes.
Can you hear me?
No, ma'am, you're very quiet.
If I can make a suggestion. The two speakers that we cannot hear, if they would please send via email to you, Bill, their comments, and then we can provide those to the commissioners.
Yes, please, if you have something to write down, please. Email address is wsandoval, S-A-N, D as in David, O, V as in Victor, A-L, at santa-ana.org. If you can please go ahead and send your comments, I will get those and then I will be able to read those to the commission.
Also, your email address is on the agenda packet, if they didn't get it.
It looks like we have one more. Guest KZLS, you have been admitted into the room. You have 3 minutes to provide your comment.
No, because your hair grows.
Go ahead, KZLS, you have 3 minutes. Your microphone is still muted. Could you please unmute it?
I'm sorry, did you ask me to talk, to speak?
Yes, do you want to provide a comment?
Oh, no, not at this time. I just logged in.
Thank you. Chairperson, that completes the public comment section.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is the consent calendar. Item 1 is the minutes of the regular meeting of July 22nd, 2021. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the July 22nd meeting?
I motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
Does that mean?
Chairperson, you would just do a roll call again?
Oh, okay. Will you please call roll?
Chairperson Gomez?
Here.
Chairperson Laura Blanca?
Yes.
Chairperson Ramirez? Vice Chair
Yes.
Ramirez, I should say. And Chairperson Mouet.
Yes. Okay. Item 2 is excused absences. Recording secretary, do we have any excused absences that need approval?
Chairperson, at this point in time, we We do not have Commissioner Wu and Commissioner Nelson at this point in time. We were informed that Commissioner Nelson was to be here 15 minutes late. Commissioner Wu was slated to be here as well. At this point in time, at this portion of the meeting, they are both not here.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve these excused absences?
I motion to approve the excused absences.
I second.
Okay, will you please call roll?
Commissioner Gomez,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanca, Torreblanca?
Yep.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Yes.
Commissioner Mouet.
Yes. That is the end of the consent calendar. Moving on to the business calendar. Tonight, we have one item listed on the agenda as item 3, which is the review and discussion of proposed athletic facility reservation policy and athletic facility allocation guide. I will turn this over to Executive Director Lisa Ridloff for this item.
Excellent. Thank you, Chairperson Moet and members of the Parks and Recreation Commission. Tonight, you have before you the athletic facility reservation policy and the athletic facility allocation guide. And this is the first of 4 policies that will be brought before you. And those other ones will be coming in the near future. And then once these policies are heard by you and you provide comments, it will go to the City Council for approval. So as you know, the Park and Recreation Department provides a variety of programs and services for the community. And tonight we're here specifically discussing a new policy for the athletic facility use in our parks. We conducted a investigation and an evaluation of our process, our current process. We had many people, as you heard, the FC, the Santa Ana FC are not able to utilize our fields. And to me, the problem statement is not that we don't have enough fields. Our system is broken. We don't have a process, and we need to fix that. And so that's why we are here tonight. Excuse me one second. Let's change the slide. The reason for some of the policy and the guide is we wanted to make sure that people have an explanation of how to turn in a permit, what it means about insurance and the applications and things of that nature. But the reasons for the policy is that there is right now an inequitable allocation process. And there are certain organizations that are receiving preferential treatment with respect to reserving facilities. And we need to stop that. We need to be fair to all of our community in reserving our athletic field allocations. We also have minimal athletic facilities available to local organizations because they were forced, or it was their only option, to sublease fields in order to obtain playing time in Santa Ana. After being informed there were no fields available during the regular normal reservation process. So subleasing fields is absolutely where we do not want to be in this community, because the people that are paying for that are the local residents. And subleasing a field means when there's an organization, say they come in and they rent a field for $2 an hour, and then they turn around and sublease it to those teams that can't get fields for $100 an hour. That's almost a 5,000% increase. How is that fair to our community? It is not fair to our community. The city would never increase something 5,000%. Even if the rate is $2 an hour, and we're going to amend the fees, by the way, and that's going to be coming back to you at a later time, but we would never increase it that much. So it's just wrong, and that has to stop. We also have an antiquated permit process. Everything is by hand. There's no automation, and we want to make sure we streamline it and make as much as possible it online, and we utilize our recreation software management system. And so the customer, we want the customer to be able to go online and make a reservation and not have to come in. Everybody works, they're busy, and we want to make sure that they have that opportunity to upload their documents online, pay online, and things of that nature. So our plan is to do that, and it's going to take some some baby steps. But the intent there is to make it easy for the customers, make it fair for the customers. We're also going to be closing our reservation office, which is located at Centennial Park. We are renovating City Hall, the second floor, and we're moving everybody over here to the second floor. And so if there's those customers that want to pay in person, they certainly can do that. They would simply go to the first floor of City Hall and make a payment where everybody else makes their payments for other things within the city. So, so those are some of the things and some of the reasons for this policy. Some of the benefits for our policy is bottom line, and the spirit of this policy is to make it equitable and fair to all users. That's where we're coming from. We don't want anyone to try to game the system. We're starting out with this process. We want to transition in January. Things are not going to work out perfect. So we're going to have to accommodate the teams now to say, okay, what do you need in the new year? And then we'll move forward as appropriate. But we want to make sure that we have this framework and we have a solid administrative process that the community knows about and that staff know about, and everybody's on the same page. We also want to make sure it's fairly priced. As I mentioned, we're going to be going back to the city council with an amended miscellaneous fee schedule. And that's something that the council approves during the budget process on all the fees in the city. And so we're going to amend them only specific to this policy and the athletic field allocations. And we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. We also have a scheduling priority for qualified residents for youth sports organizations. All other facility users for reservations will be accepted on a first come, first served basis after we allocate fields for priorities 1 and 2. Priority 1 is any kind of city, and I'll talk about that here in just a second, any kind of city program or activity. And then priority 2 will be the youth sports organizations that are a part of the city's new sports coalition, which I'll explain here in just a second. And lastly, we want to make sure all permits are issued by the city of Santa Ana. If someone wants to use a facility, there is a clear process, there's a permit process, and we will help accommodate that with our staff and with our software system. So our proposed policy, which is Exhibit 1 in your packet, there are 6 priorities in this proposed policy, which is on page 1 and 2, if you want to follow along. Our first priority is any kind of city-sponsored activities serving Santa Ana. So if we're putting on a program, we're going to have first priority of our own fields, athletic facilities. The second priority is a resident that is a nonprofit organization for recreational use. And so these are the Santa Ana-based youth sports organization who participate with a participation rate of 90% residents. Or 70% if there's a competitive level club program. Any kind of Santa Ana schools, colleges, incorporated nonprofit, civic, social, cultural, religious organizations, they need to meet at least 51% of Santa Ana residents. And to qualify for this priority, the teams and the organizations must meet our our allocation process, which includes our new Youth Sports Coalition. Our third priority is for residents, any kind of group or private party or business, athletic activities or events for recreational use. The fourth priority is for residents, any kind of private party or business for commercial use or profit making, Santa Ana businesses and profit making organizations. Our fifth priority is for non-residents, any kind of group or private party for recreational use, any kind of non-Santa Ana business and profit-making organizations and or companies. And our last priority is for non-residents, and it's the private party or business for commercial use or profit-making. And again, these are non-Santa Ana businesses and they are profit-making organizations. So as you see these priorities and when you will see them in our miscellaneous fee schedule, typically at the top is going to be less money as opposed to the bottom of the priorities for residents, non-residents. The next item is the Youth Sports Coalition. So we are going to start a new Youth Sports Coalition, and the City Parks and Recreation Department will be managing this Youth Sports Coalition. And so to qualify, teams and organizations must belong to a national affiliated organization in their sport, Little League, soccer, pony, AYSO, whatever it is, they need to be affiliated with that national organization. They must be a nonprofit in good standing with the IRS. 90% of their participants must be Santa Ana residents. And also we need documentation of those residents. And so we will ask for a roster. And so there's specific times that we'll be asking for the roster, and we're going to be asking for verification of the rosters. And this is something that was not done in the past very much. And so this is going to be one of the key things that we need to follow. Also, part of this Youth Sports Coalition will be meetings. So we'll have meetings at certain times during the year. Everyone will be at the table. We'll talk about everyone's schedules. And at first, it's going to be a little clunky because we need to first find out who are the legitimate organizations in this community and or give them time to become affiliated with the national organization. And so we need to figure out what people's needs are first and schedules. And so part of this process is going to include everyone will not be happy because they're not going to get 100% of what they need because we're trying to make it fair for everybody in the community. So that's where we sit down, and the things that probably irritate organizations that don't have fields, they drive by a field and it's empty and they're told that they can't use it. And so what happens is these blocks on fields are happening. And so we want to make sure that doesn't happen as much as it's happening now. Now, I understand that if you're with the organization, you say, you know, this coach is going to be practicing on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at so-and-so field. And sometimes they're canceled or things like that happen, but that needs to be a minority of the time. We want to see our fields used all of the time. And so, so we want to make sure that everybody understands each other's organizations. The city will make the call on whether fields are, whether an organization is belongs in the priority 2 or belongs in priority 3 and so on and so forth. And then we will have to come up with the best way we know how, try to make it equitable for all teams involved. So that is a huge, this whole policy is a huge change, which is a good change. I've used the Youth Sports Coalition in other cities. It's a common practice. It's called some other different things, but there's typically meetings that happen semi-annually. They submit their applications, their field use request and such, and there's a whole process on that, which our guide explains. And it works out very well. The permit fees, they are, let's see, the permit fees are on page 1 and 5. But again, that will be the fees that will be amended with the miscellaneous fee schedule. We want to make sure all those fees are fair. So we're taking, what does it cost to maintain a field? Things of that. So we're collecting data to make our decisions on how much things, what's the cost recovery we're trying to obtain. And so we're gathering that information, and then we'll be making some recommendations to the city council. And if there's a fee that is super low, we are not going to jack the price up so high that people can't attain it. It has to have a phased approach or something. So the intent of this is not to raise fees or not allow organizations to prepare for changes and fees. I mean, that we want to work with everyone, and we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to have time, because it takes time to restructure your organization or prepare for those type of things. And also, we want to make sure that permits are non-transferable. That is on page 6. Bottom line is, we want to give these fields to the people of this community. We understand there's travel ball and there's competitive. That's okay. Just make it legit and make sure that the people on the rosters are at the right percentage for the competitive leagues or travel ball. And lastly, again, I'll say it again, we just want to make a fair facility allocation process. That is our motive. That is our intent. And there's nothing else about it. We have the athletic facility use allocation guide. Everything in there, which is exhibit 2 in your packet, corresponds with the policy. So we're really trying to describe what they need to do. And we are going to post it on the website. We're going to have links so people can just click links to get to the applications. If they have questions, they know what to do and where to go and who to talk to. So it really outlines the permit procedures and requirements. And both of these are new, the policy and the guide. As we go along the first year, we'll make sure, some things may not work. We may need to tweak things for the next year. So if the policy needs to be amended, we certainly, after a year, we can go back to the council and say, we'd like to amend these sections of the policy. So that's what we're going to be looking out for and evaluating at the end of the year. And it would be nice to come back to the commission and say, here's an evaluation of our first year of operations of this policy, and let you know what we have encountered. And we just will move forward to make it better and make changes. So some of the next steps we have is the city council approval of this policy. We are preparing for October 5th. And tonight is just to provide the Park and Rec Commission the draft policy. We want to get your comments. We want to get the community's comments. We also emailed America Roblito, emailed all of the users of the facilities the policy and procedures today, or not today, I'm sorry. Whenever it was posted, whenever the agenda was posted, that's when they got it. And then after that, we will be amending the miscellaneous fee schedule, and then we'll implement the policy and fee schedule. And again, we have a proposed date of January 2022. We'll work our best to figure that out. And if it works, we'll let the council know that it's a work in progress, and there'll be some exceptions, and we're willing to work with people to make that happen. So that is all that I have. I'm going to close this screen here. Give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. And I'd like to entertain any questions from the commission. And also here today, we have America Roblito. She has stepped in, and she has been working with the organizations at this time in the interim. And things are a little clunky right now because we're trying to make it work, and we're trying to change some things minimally. But now that we have a policy on board, then we would follow this process. So thank you very much. That's the end of my presentation. And
hello, I believe there's some people still in the waiting room. This is Commissioner Nelson. There's some people still trying to get into the meeting.
Commissioner Nelson, I think we have closed the comments. It's now the commission comments.
That is correct, Executive Director. The comment session portion of the meeting has now closed. It is now just the presentation that was just introduced and comments from the chair and the commissioners.
I have a question. Okay, hello everyone. You were talking about that we were gonna have 2 meetings a year for the Youth Sports Coalition. Are those gonna be like open to the public? Are those gonna be just close to like whatever organizations you folks allow to the meetings? How are those gonna be held?
Yeah, the 2 meetings a year will be the Youth Sports Coalition only, because the Youth Sports Coalition is the priority 2. So we're going to take all of the youth sports organizations allocations first, and then we open it up to the public for all the priority 3 through 6. So it's not open to the public. It's only for the Youth Sports Coalition members that qualify to be a Youth Sports Coalition member.
I also had a comment, Commissioner Ramirez.
Mm-hmm.
You spoke about priorities and those for individuals who are trying to get the fields, and there is a priority for youth programs. I was wondering if it's possible to implement another sub priority into that youth program for people with special needs. So students or programs who focus on special needs children to get a slightly higher priority than just the youth kids.
That might be dealt with in a different way, where it's an agreement between the special needs organization or whatever and the city. For example, we have TKO Boxing at Jerome Center. They provide a boxing program. We have Pearl Raya. She talked about her organization. Those are 2 different things where we're going to have an agreement with them, and we're going to allow them to use our facilities. So we might address that in a different way and give them, they wouldn't have to be a part of this. It's with an agreement that the city council would approve. And we would say, hey, the special needs organization would like to use X facility for the program of youth, Santa Ana youth, and perhaps deal with it that way.
I have a question about the investigation that was conducted by the city.
Mm-hmm.
What did that look like? What did that entail?
The investigation, I cannot comment because it's still continuing on. We hired an outside agency to conduct this investigation. And so they investigated our process, our administration, how the fields are used. And so they talked with some sports organizations. And so what they do is they will provide the city a report on that. And then some of the findings were some of the reasons that we developed this policy. And we've always known we wanted to develop this policy. And look, this has been going on for years, people. This is not the first year that this has happened. It's been going on for probably 20 plus years. And so this is the first time that we're trying to do something to make it right. And so that is our intent, to do that. So it helped us to have an outside agency to come in and evaluate, because I didn't want to evaluate it. I didn't want the city HR to evaluate it. We wanted a fair, impartial look at what's going on. And it was very good. And I just can't comment on the results, because it's still ongoing.
Okay, yeah, and so you mentioned that that involved talking to a few organizations. But I'm wondering if what the scale of outreach was in this process, if there was.
Yeah, no, there was absolutely no outreach to the current, the system is broken. And so we are taking the results of what we evaluated, and we are coming up with a standard in the profession to have a policy, to have a system that is fair and equitable. And so we did not reach out at all. We just tried to just limp along while we were going through this process and while this was developed, and try to accommodate them as best as possible. And so, yeah, they received it when you received it. And again, Commissioner, Chairperson Moet, again, we are here to help them get to where they need to be to use our fields, if they're willing, if they want the help. So we're not trying to drop a bomb. We're trying to make it a great system. And so I welcome, like, if you all, or if they have any comments after some people haven't read it, they can email in to staff. They can call America and talk to her and get clarification and such.
Yeah, my main comment is that not providing outreach before this policy was shown to the commission and then the council, that is something I do not agree with. I think that this is such an important issue that involves so many organizations. And I have to say, I agree with Mr. Magayon, who made a public comment just now. You know, he's one of the many current permit holders, and, you know, this is not something that I hope the city will rush into. And yeah, that's my main comment.
I have a comment as well. So what I'm understanding is that some people were taking advantage and profiting from.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't feel sorry for those people. And I really hope, I'm glad you caught it in time. And I really hope that we're able to be equal and have equity in our community. And I know it's going to be a process, but I'm like still kind of upset. Like you said, and I couldn't believe it. It's like an advantage of our community, and a lot of our community doesn't speak up.
Yes.
And that's very unfortunate.
Absolutely. These programs are about our entire community, and that is not fair, because it's not providing spaces and places for our entire community. So it is not fair to have preferential treatment. It is not fair to charge people exorbitant amounts of money. It is not fair to monopolize the city's fields. So move on, go somewhere else, because you're not welcome here.
Yeah, to continue off of that, I definitely felt that, like, Rise as well, of just, I can't believe this went on for so long, you know, of people profiteering off our, like, residents. Because at the end of the day, this is all about our residents. I mean, we're all here representing residents from each ward. And so the fact that prices were being raised like that is kind of ridiculous. I do, however, understand that the community does need some sort of outreach. They do need some sort of like communication between us and them. I love that we're having 2 meetings a year with the Youth Sports Coalition. I just have one like last kind of comment, I guess. It's I want to know what's gonna happen on the days that are dark, because it says that I was reading through the packet, and it says that 30 days before like the date that they plan to have an event, that's when applications need to be sent in 30 days before an event. What's going to happen to those days that are going dark, like within those 30 days? Like, are there Like, say next week we have a field that's going to be empty. Do we have a plan for what's going to be happening to that empty field? Or
Oh, I see what you're saying. So like if there's a tournament, the 30 days in advance, like a tournament or something, or like a opening ceremony or something of that nature. So I think that, I'm not sure what section you're in, but that may be, and America, you may need to help me here, but 30 days in advance, we need to prepare and for their event. And so we're asking for their application because if it's, for example, if it's a tournament, there's other things, you need to have like a special event permit. So we need to step them through other processes for that. But at the field allocations, at the very beginning, how I see this going is we'll have a meeting with all of the organizations that are in our coalition. Before that first meeting, they will submit all of their, an application and all of their needs. So we'll go into that meeting, we'll have a spreadsheet of all of their needs and talk through, everybody's needs and try to understand and let other people understand the needs of their organization. So we don't want fields to be left open. And it's kind of hard when you're running an organization where you're assigning all these coaches and you may have 100 coaches and they're going out to different fields and they are in specific areas at specific times. And things may happen where they don't show up that day or something. We just need to make sure that they are as tight as possible on their schedules, because if they leave that field open, there's another organization that may want it or that may need it for something. And so we want to make sure we accommodate that other organization. So if another organization calls and say, hey, we really need something on this date, we'll call the other organization and say, hey, can we make a trade, or can we accommodate them? For example, Pony Baseball offered up some of their space for soccer, for a soccer team that's never been allowed or has not had field space this past year during the pandemic. And so that's the kind of spirit and that's the kind of thing we want, is for people to help each other out and help each other be successful. And so I don't know if I answered your question, but we're trying to make sure that all the fields are scheduled. You say you want the field, use the field.
Yeah, I'd like to say one thing here. I mean, regarding the field allocation and the investigation and everything, I mean, the issue of charging our community extra above and beyond what the fees are to profit is really just a small part of the problem. I mean, another part of the problem is the amount of teams and fields that are being used by teams that are outside of our community. The damage, the upkeep that it takes to try and repair fields when they're overused from outside our city's geographic footprint really is a bigger issue. I mean, I think the amount of money that we spend on renovation versus what we really need to is probably, it's going to be staggering when you probably really sit down and look at it. So I think that this is not something that, as somebody who's been part of a youth organization in Santa Ana for years, you've always known that there's issues with reservations and other fields, and there's just not enough youth sports organizations to actually really who's using what fields when, right? You never know. It's always been a secret. So I think having transparency and clarity will make our community better and stronger as a whole, versus just trying to continue with the same pattern that we've had. So thank you for what you've done.
Yes, Commissioner Nelson, you're absolutely right. There, our folks have had to go to other cities to get fields. So, and then when we see other cities coming here using our fields, so why are they coming here? And Chivas is like playing a tournament, and we don't even know about. And so it's that subletting, and so we need to make sure that we're being fair. We want people like Chivas to come here, but they need to get the permit from us. And we need to make, accommodations if we can, and if we have the field. So, yeah, thank you.
This is Ruby Wu. Finally got on, and I'm glad to hear all the changes because I know for years there's been problems. So can we motion to proceed with these policies and implement them?
Yeah,
I motion to accept these policies. I'm wholeheartedly agree and want to step with something new.
Commissioner Wu, thank you. I'm sorry I had to chime in here. I am providing your comments. You can make the motion and you can say you want the city council to pass this or whatever you want to. What I'm going to do is in the city council report is put the comments and what the commission as a whole, would like to see, or I think your dog agrees. I'm not sure, but
oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. So, sorry, I carry on, Commissioner.
I'm in agreement, and so I would like to proceed on and say the recommended. I like seeing this new policies because I've like I said, there's been a lot of problems beforehand, and so yes.
Okay, there's not a motion required, but you can, if you wanted to consensus or something, you can.
Lisa, yeah, I wanted to be on the record that I support the new policy.
Okay.
Thank you.
I do as well.
I'd like to go on the record saying that I would prefer for there to be significant outreach efforts before a policy is put in motion and put before the council.
Yeah, I like to agree with Commissioner Moet. I agree with the thoughts behind the program, trying to make it more fair, but I would recommend having more community information and more community thought put into it. Since it is to make it fair and for the community, we should at least allow them to have a moment to speak about what they want to add to it, if possible. But I do appreciate and do support the incentive behind the program.
I'd like to ask, just for my own personal understanding, what kind of outreach are we talking about? To other youth programs that are taking advantage of the system already? Or, I mean, I think the vetting of what the situation is has already been done by the director. So we're asking to get community input of a broken system from the community that's let it be broken for this long. So I think that putting the ship on the right path is what we're doing now. As a Parks and Rec commission, as director. So if there's an issue, I think the solving it first is probably the key thing to do, rather than sit there and continue to mull over how we can make this better when we have such a broken system that we're perpetuating the same thing that we've been doing for 20, 30 years. So my thought.
Yeah, I understand your thought. The main thing I would prefer to see is any sort of outreach effort for staff to talk with these organizations and teams. Anything, really. I think it's worth having discussions, especially before something this big is put before the council. And there are a lot of people here in this meeting. This is a commission meeting. There will be a lot of opinions and people who want to be heard, and I think that's important. So
To add upon that as well, having public comments doesn't necessarily mean speaking to those who currently have a permit, but also SAFC, said that they have a special needs program that wasn't using any fields. So using those public comments from those programs who currently cannot get a field would also allow us to make a better program. Getting the whole public of those who may have more struggles finding it allows us to understand how can we make it easier for them as well, so that those who may have never had a field before, make it possible for them to get a field out finally.
I feel that there has been the abusers and that the people that you're addressing are the ones who are going to benefit with this new policy, because a lot of use the system and are not as sophisticated. And I feel once these policies are implemented, that would help bring these groups to use the field much better and be a better, fairer policy, because I've heard of so many of the abuses.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, can I chime one more time? Sorry. So regarding reservations, the system that we has been trying to been implemented for years, is that system going to be fully implemented as far as online reservations and all of that, correct?
Yes, I'm sorry. You may not have heard the beginning of the presentation.
Sorry.
We're trying to streamline the process. And part of that is, or a lot of that is going to be with our recreation management software system. People should be able to get information online. The guide will also be online with links to help them through the process. They can pay online. We're also closing the facility reservation office, and we're going to be moving everyone here to City Hall. If people want to still pay in person, they can come to City Hall on the first floor, make a payment at the cashier where everybody else in the city makes payments. So yes, we're trying to make it easier for the customer. And people work, they're busy, and they're running an organization or a team. And so we need to make it easy for them to do business with us. And so we're going to, there's going to be bumps and bruises along the way, but we're striving, and our spirit is to make this the best program possible and easy for the community to use, because these folks are all volunteering. And
Right.
so we need to make it easy for them.
The one thing I'd also like to, I mean, you look at what Santa Unified does as far as their Facilitron, right?
Mhm.
If this system can kind of mirror that, there's so many less people having to manage their system versus what we as the city have historically had. I mean, there was multiple people and reservations, and that, to be honest, if you want to reach out to the community and really help it out, if you have a better system and a more transparent system that you can see what fields are being used when, by who, what's going on. Now you've taken that out of the equation, and you can take that staff that would normally be maybe in reservations and help them build the community and actually be liaisons and support youth organizations, any sort of people with disabilities or people just having trouble navigating whatever system we have, right? That's what I think. If you look at this, that should be the big picture: is how do we use our staff to be able to make not only the system and everything more equitable, but more user friendly and more of a community affair. It's always been the city against the youth organizations. It's always been this back and forth pit that I personally dealt with it. It's one of the reasons I'm sitting here as a commissioner today. It's not, I feel that this is the type of things that a community should have. Santa Ana is nothing but a community. The entire, been here for 25 years. It's all about sense of community, about your neighbor, about your family, about all this. But we've always had this situation where the city is against us, right? It shouldn't be that way, especially when you're dealing with youth sports. We should all be on the same page, trying to figure out a way to make this better. And having, personnel that are city staff that are actually there being supportive and helping the process. would be a huge step in the right direction. So.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. And we just didn't make this policy up. I mean, these are best practices. And so this happens all throughout the state. And so we are professionals. This is our best professional judgment. I've been doing this for 30 years and we just didn't make this up out of simple air. I mean, you take a little bit from other agencies, but in the end, everybody's got a program and a process that benefits a community. Some communities will subsidize youth sports. Some communities charge them exorbitant, amount of money, but absolutely. I mean, the city cannot run the programs that the youth organizations run. They reach a lot of people. And so we are happy to have them at our fields, at our facilities, providing these programs to the community. Because we don't have the wherewithal to do that. So that is what I prefer. I mean, we're never going to have enough staff. We're always short staffed. So it's appreciated what these organizations do. And so, like you're saying, let's work together. Let's make this happen. And it's a really good process when everybody sits down at the table at those meetings because nobody's going to pull any punches because everybody is there and everybody understands each other's organization and it's a good thing. So thank you. And that's end of this presentation, and I guess we'll move on. Chairperson.
Next on the agenda is informational items. No action is needed from the commission on these items. However, this is a time for city staff to provide a brief summary of their reports and for commissioners to ask questions. Okay, so item 4, we have the library staff report from Brian Sternberg.
All right, good evening, everybody. Nice to see you again. I'm just going to provide a few brief updates of what's happening here at the Santa Ana Public Library. We got a lot of exciting things coming up in the future and in the upcoming months. The first thing I want to do though is talk about some upgrades and updates that we've just done recently. So right now we have brand new self-checkout stations in our library. So library patrons can avoid the lines and choose to check out their own materials on touchscreen equipped self-checkout kiosks. These are both available at Main and the New Hope libraries. These kiosks provide a contactless experience, which makes checking out library materials even more convenient, especially with COVID. It's an added convenience for all of our patrons in our community. They simply scan their library card, they place the items on the kiosk. They don't have to scan individual books one at a time. We have a brand new RFID, radio frequency now tags on all of our books. They're like microchips on the books. I've talked with you guys a little bit about this before. And so the pad reads all the books and they just simply put all their books down and they walk away and all the books get immediately checked out for them. And our staff, of course, is right there to help them as well. They can view their account. They can, look about research upcoming programs. It's all right there on these self checkout kiosks on these touch screens. So really nice. They can learn all about the library while they're there. We also have curbside pickup. It's still available. We don't plan on getting rid of that, although our buildings are open now and we're actually open 5 more hours than we have been in many years. Across both libraries. And most of that has to do with a large expansion of hours at the New Hope Library, which had previously been open 27 hours and now we're up to 48. Then the next thing I'd like to talk about is our laptop dispensing kiosks. Those are at both libraries as well. Our patrons can now stay connected at the Main and New Hope and take advantage of these freestanding kiosks. They can check out laptops. You go right to the kiosk instead of having to sit down at one of the big old terminals, and packed in a room or something. What I'm trying to do is create an environment where people can use a computer, but they can take it. They can find a comfortable spot to sit in the library and use the laptop. And then when they're done, it's really a simple process. The machine just accepts the computer right back in, and it automatically takes it off their library card when they're done using the laptop. So patrons seem to be really loving that. And if it goes well, we'll continue to expand that service as well. These machines are actually expandable, so we can add more bays and more computers to them. Then I just want to provide you with a quick update on our Revive Santa Ana projects. I talked to you a little bit about these mini libraries last time, and I talked about Bomo Corral and Portola Park. But this time it looks like what we'll have to do is switch to Jerome Park. And that has a lot to do with, well, it has everything to do with the ARPA and the Revive Santa Ana rules that we need to follow. So they have to be in these HUD qualified census tracts. So the next best spot to put these would be at Jerome, which is actually very close to our to the PAL Center, which is years and years ago was our old McFadden Library. So we're kind of getting some library services back in that part of the city. So it makes sense to get something right in Jerome. But we're not just going to put this big, and I showed you a picture of it last time, but just as a reminder, we're not just going to put this big thing and just plunk it down right there. We're going to really build an outdoor library activity kind of experience, including, some nice, a reading garden, some tables, a little activity area for kids, all outside, just to make the experience where somebody can go check out a book, check out a book to read with their child in the park, be right there, be able to sit down, enjoy, read, maybe have a picnic right there. What better way to do that than at Jerome Park and take advantage of the library, but still be outside, which is great. So that's coming along, but that is a little adjustment that I wanted to make sure I mentioned. So I'm kind of doing, just bringing it down to one location, but doing it on a much bigger scale. So I think the community will really appreciate that. And then I just want to mention that the Santa Ana Public Library, we will be participating in the Revive Santa Ana 5K run. We're going to have a heritage exhibit on that date in October. I believe it's October 23rd. We will have some library booths out there, and we're going to feature a bunch of neat things on the city's founding and the library's history, information on Mr. Spurgeon and Mr. Ross, and kind of, how the city was founded back in the, the 1870s and 80s and those early days. So my staff will be dressed in costumes, and we're going to kind of do some role playing of those early settlers in Santa Ana. So it should be pretty fun and celebrate the city's early history. And then just, check our website in the report. I listed a whole bunch of programs that are for September. Take a look at them. They're great. Of course, we have our story times available. We've added an extreme lab program that's, especially at New Hope, taking advantage of the technology lab there now that we completed to get the kids using things like virtual reality. So all that's on there. You can always go to our website. We also have programming now for October and Hispanic Heritage Month. We got some exciting stuff coming up too. So take a look at that, and I'll talk more about that, at our next meeting, and kind of recap some of the big programs that we're going to do for Hispanic Heritage. But we have an author event called Grandes Dreamers, and then we also have a program for Indigenous Peoples Day coming up in October that will feature a panel that's discussing missing or murdered Indigenous women, over the ages. So a really great panel to talk about, the struggles of Indigenous peoples in this area. And then the final thing I wanted to talk about is a groundbreaking ceremony. I don't know if I can share my screen here easily. Let me see if I can do it. Yep, it looks like I can. We have a groundbreaking. Let me see if you guys can. Can you guys see my screen? Yep. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to have a groundbreaking ceremony October 5th at 3 p.m. This is really exciting. This is our new Play and Learn children's patio. So we're going to convert this this empty space. It's just basically concrete and some patches of really weeds back there, just underutilized. So we're converting this into a fully interactive play and learn children's area. It's going to feature, you can see this climber like this, which is, there's very few in Southern California. I believe the only other one around here is at the Irvine Spectrum, but this one's going to be even cooler. We kind of got it themed in Santa Ana colors. This thing's about 25 feet high, but it's all certified, safe equipment for kids. Children's museums across the nation, across the USA and the world have these at their facilities, and they're netted and they're safe for kids to use. So one of these are gonna be in there. And then you can kind of see, I have down here a little layout, lots of drought tolerant landscaping, reading areas, play areas for kids, just a really pleasant place. And it leads right off the children's area. You know, families can go in there. You're going to be able to see it from the outside, you know, as you come down Ross Street, you know, you won't be able to miss it. And I think it's going to be a really fun space. So please join us October 5th. We're going to do it at 3 p.m. Before the city council meeting that night to break ground for this really exciting project. The work has already started. They've got all the construction equipment out here. So it's just going to be the beginning of, I think, what's going to be a new chapter for the Santa Ana Library, and a great start to the large renovation that will be funded through our Revive Santa Ana monies as well. So this is kind of just the beginning of what's to come here at the Santa Ana Public Library. And that's all I have. Thank you so much. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
I have a question. Hi, Commissioner Torreblanca here.
Yeah.
You had mentioned going down from 2 mobile libraries to 1. Can you elaborate a little bit more on
oh,
why
sure.
going down to 1?
So initially my proposal that I talked to all the commissioners about last time was to use the ARPA funding, the Revive Santa Ana funding, to do 2 of these mini libraries. And that I showed you a picture of it last time. They're like 14 feet long by about 7.5 feet wide. They can fit like 400 different books and materials, movies, music, you know, whatever it might be, magazines, games. So because of the requirements from the federal government, I have to place these in HUD qualified census tracts. And Bomo Corral Park and Portola Park were far outside of these HUD qualified census tracts. So I needed to find a location that fit the eligibility requirements of essentially what this grant allows us to do. So that's why I had to just change the location. So the best location that I could find right now is going to be Jerome Park. And that location is chosen because, you know, it's in a higher need area, but it's also closer to where the old McFadden Library was. So people will once again be able to get some really quality library services over there. The good thing about doing 1 right now is that I'm going to be able to put some additional monies into it and not just kind of plop down this large, you know, mini library, but also really create a nice kind of outdoor library experience around it, a place for families and kids can sit and, you know, like I said, have a picnic and play a little bit and check out a book right there and read a story right next to it, you know, at a table or on the ground, you know, and have a picnic, whatever it might be. So that's kind of the reasoning behind it, and why I had to go this route as opposed to the original route. We just got some more clarification on what the eligibility is and what the requirements were. So I had to make an adjustment. Yeah. I wish I could have put them there, but you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Well, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Mr. Sternberg.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Now we have the Parks and Facilities staff report from Ron Ono.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to present my report to the board. Tonight, I'll be presenting a portion of a lot of projects that we have going on in Parks and Recreation, Design and Park Services Department. You have my report. I'll just quickly go over some of the highlights. We're still moving forward with Santiago Gas House project. The water main break has been fixed, as I indicated before. And we're looking at other improvements to make, such as a playground area, because we had to regrade some of the locations for Santiago. Ball field lighting, we just talked about the field reservation process. So obviously, some of the projects that we work on will impact our reservations, such as the sports lighting. Hopefully, the agencies or the sports organizations would appreciate some of the downtime to improve the lighting system in their facility. Jerome Park lights went up today. The poles are up, the fixtures are up. The contractor is checking all the utility connections to make sure the lights will operate correctly. Riverview baseball field, the support columns are up. We're waiting for the delivery of the poles to install the actual lights and fixtures up. The other area that we're doing, if we can show Exhibit 1, is park security lighting. Morrison Park lights are completed. We're doing the Pacific Electric bike trail lighting system, Sandpoint lighting system as well. Here's an example on the screen of the Morrison Park lights. El Salvador basketball court. We just heard from some of the users of El Salvador. We're waiting for the poles to be delivered in about 2 weeks. And then we will be installing the lights and starting the demo of the existing courts. Santa Anita synthetic turf project. The project will be submitting a request to the City Council in November to award a contract to the synthetic turf company. After that, we will release the bids for the entire project. Ball field lighting fencing. Here's another project that will impact our reservation system as we close some fields down to install black vinyl fencing and to replace the old chain link fencing. We try to accommodate and work around the sports schedules to do this. Unfortunately, in some cases, we'll have to impact the schedule. The other thing we're doing, tree planting project, exhibit number 4. As you know, the Thornton Park project was stopped for a little while because of the key member of the organization passed away, but we still continued with our tree planting project at Santiago Park with the Stanbridge University. They planted 50 trees with 41 volunteers. We had volunteers from the university and also from Friends of Santiago Park. What you see in the middle, the tree with the red ribbon on it, at the end of the planting, the organization wanted to honor and commemorate September 11th incident. So they tied a red ribbon around one of the trees as they completed the project. The next slide, number 5, I'll go quickly through these. These are projects that were completed by staff. The ones before were completed by contractors. These are landscape renovations that were completed by staff. We replanted the butterfly at Mariposa Park. We re-landscaped the parking area at Thornton Park. We re-landscaped the land area entering the Civic Center. And also on the left, we completely renovated the landscaping at Memory Lane Park. Next slide. We also are renovating some park signage. We installed a bunch of dog waste receptacles along the PE bike trail. We completely repainted the sign at Madison Park. We installed in a tollway and 2-hour parking sign at Jerome Park, Center Street. We are having problems on Center Street with drug activity, so we thought maybe limiting the parking will help do that. And then we also have demoed the 17th Street Bridge. We have a project at 17th Street Bridge Triangle to completely redo the decking and the landscaping. But because of the activity we're having there right now with homeless activity, the request was to quickly remove the deck to eliminate homeless activity as we complete the plans and specs for the renovation work. So staff, recreation staff, Parks and Recreation staff, the Public Works staff, the code team all got together and demoed that deck in one day. That quickly ends my presentation. If you have any questions.
This is Ruby Wu. I still haven't seen any progress in the bathrooms in El Salvador Park. Are they going to be remodeled, or with all this new, the basketball of being redone, and then the equipment, the exercise equipment there, and we still have the same bathrooms? Where are we with fixing or remodeling or redoing?
As you know, we're remodeling a few bathrooms throughout our park system at Adams Park, and we're installing. In fact, we'll be hopefully awarding a project to install 3 new prefab bathrooms in various other park sites with Revive money, and hopefully with Revive money we can start focusing on El Salvador. I'm
just kind of disappointed, Ron. Those bathrooms have been horrible for the last 20 years. And I've had events, I'm the president of the Artesia Pilar Neighbors, and it's kind of very embarrassing to have events there. And the last of, a family event where that was very disgraceful. So I think that would be a key priority. I'm sorry to have to plead. I'm sorry, commissioners, but that is a real sore point. We're trying to do a lot of activities. In fact, in October, for the last 5 years, we've been doing a pumpkin festival where our Artesia Pilar Neighbors give out free pumpkins out to the community. And looking at the bathrooms with those small children is very sorrowful. So I would really like for you to look into that more so, because we wanted to do a concert next year, and we would like to have that improvement as quickly as possible.
Yeah, Commissioner Wu, this is Lisa Rudloff. We have some money that has been allocated to replace restrooms because our restrooms are disgusting. And so we're in a process of doing that. And the Public Works Department is in charge of that. So we have some funding. And Ron, what are the 4 restrooms that are being replaced right now?
We're renovating Adams right now. We are going to be replacing Memorial restroom, Cesar Chavez restroom, and Madison restroom.
And then we also have the bids already came in, so we have money left over, so we can do another restroom. And then we also have some state money. So we are doing these as fast as we can. A lot of the ARPA funding, they're trying to fix the streets, they're fixing the parks. And so they're sometimes hiring project managers to get the stuff done. So they will be addressed, but I can't give you a timeline, no.
Oh, well, I'm really upset, Lisa, because for the last 20 years, I have been an advisory committee at El Salvador Park. I put gardens in, done activities at the park and those restrooms. And also, I don't know you understand why the Little League there with Pearl haven't tried to improve that bathroom. And I see all these, it's really wonderful. Thank you very much for that exercise equipment. It's great. Fixing up the basket, improvement in with the fence. I really love that, but it's really I've been holding different activities there for the Artesia Pilar Neighbors, but to have that bathroom there and not been prioritized, it should have been done 20 years ago. I'm sorry to be pleading about that, and commissioners, I'm sorry, but bringing small children, my son is 30 years old, and he was very active there. That the after school program was so wonderful for both of my children. And at that time I addressed, and like I said, he's 30 years old now and is still terrible.
Got it. No, understood.
Thank you.
Understood. Thank you. We'll look into that. I'm sorry. You don't want to hear that after 20 years. I get it.
No, I
But I
don't.
will. I will.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ono.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Santa Ana Zoo report from Ethan Fisher.
Hi, everybody. I will go through a few of the highlights from the report, and then you're welcome to read all the nitty-gritty details if you'd like. We have been doing some different animal transfers and brought some new animals in and have been moving a variety of animals around to different habitats as we do some deferred maintenance projects. We did a lot of tree pruning this summer and took care of some of the more hazardous trees and just maintained their overall health through that process. We have a few projects that are in different planning stages. So there is the Goat Yard, Goat Trails project for the farm that's in plan check right now. We're still waiting for some state grant information with Prop 68. That was a big grant we applied for. They said they'll give us an answer in fall. We were awarded funding, almost $700,000 of federal funding from the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant Program. So that was great, and that will help with some accessibility improvements for the zoo. So like a new website, ticketing system, and then improving some of the walkways that are sort of hard to navigate if you're in a wheelchair or have a stroller. Also, in addition to that, there was a state budget allocation for the zoo of $2 million for a new education hub building, which was just an amazing thing. Couple other things, Zoofari, that happened. That's our big annual fundraiser that happened at the end of August and went off really well. And then this weekend, we're having a orchid show at the zoo. So if you're in the area, please feel free to stop by and see all the pretty flowers, maybe take one home. And then coming up in October, we have Boo at the Zoo. There's 4 nights that we're doing Boo at the Zoo. And then there's 2 additional nights that will be nights free for Santa Ana residents. And we're still just finishing off the information that we'll be publishing related to that. And then there'll be a way for residents to RSVP for the community nights. And we did that last year as well, and it was well attended. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Hi, I have a question. Commissioner Torreblanca here. You'd like briefly mentioned that you got $2 million for an education hub building. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the plans for that building?
Yes. So in 2018, the zoo went through a master planning process. And in that process, it's very similar to what we're doing now with the Parks Master Plan. They looked at the whole facility and saw what areas needed an improvement, and sort of what the best use of all the spaces were, and then came up with a priority list of projects over a 20-year period. And this education building, community building, was one of the things on that list, sort of off of 5 years off in the future. And what it is a new education classroom area, and then also an area for seminars or special exhibits, sort of almost like a mini community center in a way at the zoo. So we can use it for lots of different purposes. Did that answer your question? Okay. Oh, you're muted. Oh.
Yeah, that answered my question somewhat. Thank you.
Okay. There's other the Aquarium Pacific, if you've been there, they call it the watershed classroom. It's a really nice building that they could use for their education programs, and then also for special meetings and presentations and lectures and stuff. Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next is the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services staff report from Juan Lara.
Good evening, everybody. I will try and also be as brief as possible with my update. But bottom line is just to let you know that our senior centers are fully open and thriving. Now with the addition of the senior transportation program, being also providing services to and from the seniors' homes to the senior center of their choice. We're having more seniors attending our daily programming at the centers, as well as taking advantage of our frozen meal distribution program. As it relates to other programs that we're offering to the community, as an update, our co-ed flag football program currently has 175 boys and girls participating in it, and is doing very, very well. Our aquatics program continues, now just fully operating out of Memorial Pool, but offering a full program from lessons and swim team practices, water polo, as well as recreation swim on the weekends. Our recreation class program is ramping up. We have been offering martial arts and ballet classes up to this point, but we are soon also going to now be offering ballet folklorico, salsa, and Zumba as well. So be on the lookout for that, and please help us to promote those classes. Our community gardens are open throughout our park system. We have convenient hours of operation so that the community can come and learn how to implement and establish their own community gardens at home, but also to help us maintain our gardens, to harvest the product and actually be able to take it home at the end of the day. And then lastly, just a quick rundown of our city produced events. Again, you all heard how successful our Movies in the Park program was, with its culminating event at Centennial Park and showing the movie Coco, and then all the other fun activities that we had for the community to enjoy. So we're looking to expand that program also moving forward. We do have now also a couple of Pacific Symphony presentations, the first one being this Saturday at Plaza Calle Cuatro, followed by a movie presentation of Fantasia. So if you're in town and interested, please stop by and check those performances out. We also are very much into the planning process for the return of our 5K, the Revive 5K. Will be taking place on Saturday, October 23rd. Registration is now open. So please, again, help us to get the word out so we can have as many people out there walking, running, and just enjoying a day out, exploring our city, and again, enjoying that experience with their families and friends. And lastly, we'll be closing out the year with our Plaza Navideña and tree lighting ceremony at Plaza Calle Cuatro on Saturday, November 20th. So for now, that's my update. You have more detailed information in my report, but I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Yes, Juan, it was the movie nights were fantastic, and your organization, your employees did a very good job. We're very successful at our TJ Pilar. So thank you very much for the program. I had to say that. The Symphony on the Go, I suggest everybody should go. We had it at Santa Ana College, and I think it was very good for the community. And I'm glad to hear it's going to be doing another performance in Santa Ana. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wu.
Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you so much. Okay, next on the agenda are commission comments. This is a time for each commissioner to provide comments if you wish, but it is not required. We will start with Vice Chair Ramirez.
Thank you. I did want to bring up the topic that I brought up the last meeting that we had, which was about a program that we previously had, but is no longer available. And I'm looking forward to trying to make it available again for kids here in Santa Ana. The program was called Catalina Camping. So we had that program before, and it was cut off, and now I want to try to reinstate it. I know I brought it to the last meeting. I don't know, we didn't have a time to speak about it, so I want to try to make a motion to bring up that topic for the next meeting that we have, which is going to be in, I believe, October.
Commissioner Ramirez, at the last meeting, we said that we were not having Camp Catalina. We're having a camp, an overnight camp that a organization runs, not our staff. We don't want to have our staff at the at Catalina or any overnight event or any parents. We want it to be a fully functional camp that we would send kids to have that experience. So I searched the internet, but there weren't too many of them. I don't know of many overnight camps around, but there are some. But we will be exploring the possibility of using some cannabis funding to send those kids, for free, and so they can get that experience. Because the camping experience is absolutely important. But because of our risk of staff, we don't want any staff spending the night with kids. And not I'm saying they're going to do anything wrong, but it's the liability, and so we'll be doing it with some type of camp that offers those type of things. So for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to bring up if it's possible to still push it on to, if we can't talk about it here, still push it on to the city council. I've already spoken to some of the city council members. I've had some of them support the program. I know that Jesse Lopez has supported the program of being reinstated, along with Vicente Sarmiento supported it, along with Jonathan Hernandez has supported the program to be reinstated. So I still want to try to see if we can still push at least the subject to be brought upon for the city council meeting.
Yeah, you certainly can ask your Sarmiento appointed. Yeah, and
Yes, ma'am.
feel free to reach out to him. Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you very much. And then that'll be it for me.
Next is Commissioner Gomez from Ward 2.
Thank you. Is there any update on the Standard and McFadden green space? I thought you guys were working on something, but I haven't really seen anything.
Yeah, the rate in Myrtle just got passed, or Mr. Ono, I think the consultant has been hired, but I don't know. I don't have an update on the Standard or the Standard McFadden.
Yeah, Standard and McFadden, we just hired a consultant. He's
Okay.
going through currently revising or tweaking the current conceptual plan. I believe they may be going out to the site next week to do some soil testing and boring. So they're doing the preliminary testing right now. And we've met with the skate park consultant. And so he's looking at the skate park area. We also talked to Public Works. They're doing a bike trail along or bike lane along Standard and McFadden that may impact the south half of the park. So we're looking at how we can accommodate that and make that a pleasant experience as they join the park. So the preliminary stages have already started in the design.
Thank you, Mr. Ono.
Mm-hmm.
Next is Commissioner Nelson from Ward 4.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that I'm excited for the youth and everybody who uses our parks to be able to reserve them and do them in a positive way. This is really the time that we need to come together. Such a with COVID and everything that we've gone through together the last couple of years, to be able to come out of this and actually have a positive direction and path is I think essential. So I think it could breathe some life into the parks. So thank you.
Oops, sorry. Next is Commissioner Wu.
Yes, thank you very much for all the activity that's going on in the parks. And I like to get an update of the basketball completions, because I have some neighbors who want to have a basketball tournament when it's done, and also a handball a tournament at the park when all the completion of the work that's done at the basketball field. But that's all I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Ono, do you have information on the El Sal basketball court completion?
Yes, in fact, the project has already been awarded. The contractor is ordering his light poles and basketball poles. We indicated to him not to start the demolition until he has all his fixtures on board, because I hate to start a demo and wait for fixtures to be delivered. So we purposely held it up so that the community could still use the existing basketball court during this period until we're ready to start the demo work. But once the demo work starts, and in fact, I'm looking at my chart right now. We just talked about it. We anticipate completing that project in November, by the end of November. Is there any other questions?
I have one question. It's more about, you said about getting the supplies and stuff to do that. I work in shipping, and right now it's next to impossible to get pretty much everything. Are you experiencing any issues and delays within your projects due to that, or are you?
Yes, we are. In fact, that is why we purposely held up the demo for the basketball court, because we've been ordering playground parts for other parks facility, and we're getting major delays in delivery. The COVID has actually created a problem with manufacturers actually making parts. So there's some part shortages. We hear about delivery drivers that's not available to deliver equipment. So yes, we are experiencing that. And we're trying to manage our projects so that we don't start a project until all our parts are on board, so that we don't delay the construction when it starts.
I think that's a wise idea. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. There's 263 vessels sitting out there with Halloween and Christmas, and we may have a very interesting time ahead. So
I
crazy.
agree.
Next is Commissioner Torreblanca.
Hey folks. For one, I'm very excited for the 5K. I just had a couple questions. One is I was interested in I think Ron Ono mentioned the water line improvements. I know a couple meetings ago we talked about like water filtration and building these big water filtration systems in, I believe it was 3 of the parks. I want to know if there was any updates on that. I know we were waiting on like a final approval. I just want to know what the update on that was.
Now, what that is, I believe we spoke about, is that some of our parks, like Raid and Myrtle Park, it has a big water tank underneath the skate park. So we'll collect water from the streets, from the site. It goes into this filtration system and then gets percolated under the groundwater table. Any water that cannot percolate or cannot percolate fast enough will overflow back in the street. But our whole main intent is to collect as much water as possible to filtrate into the park system. So Raid and Myrtle is one of the projects that's going to have that. We're looking at possibly doing something similar at Standard and McFadden, but that's really preliminary stages right now. We're looking at what waters can be collected, if any, and if there's not much, then we'll just collect water on site. We did a similar thing at Mayberry Park, but it's not a tank, it's a bioswale filtration system. A lot of our projects that we design, we actually put in a rock bioswale. So we collect all the water on site and try to have it percolate into the ground. But now we're kind of expanding and collecting water off the streets at the same time.
I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you. Yeah, I have just two questions. One of them is just wondering how the Parks Master Plan process is going. And then the other one is, did we decide on going back to in-person meetings? And if so, when was that going to happen?
Ron, you want to talk about the update on the Parks Master Plan?
Sure, I'm glad to. The Parks Master Plan, we completed our survey, public input survey. We're thinking of possibly having one more because the couple of organizations have indicated that the questionnaire process was kind of difficult. So we're looking at possibly looking at what would be easier for the public to submit comments. We're about halfway through. We still need to complete some of the other items that the consultant has indicated, and then we'll present a draft to the Rec and Park Board.
And Bill, you want to talk about our meeting situation?
Yes, thank you, Executive Director and members of the Commission and Chairperson. We are going to be meeting soon with the Clerk of the Council to determine when would be a good time to go back to live meetings. It may be a combination of a live or hybrid, if you will, but we will be meeting with our Clerk of the Council so we can get some direction from them at that point in time. So when we find out, then we'll let you guys know as well.
Thank you. All right, well, that is the conclusion of this meeting. The next meeting will take place on Thursday, October 28th, 2021. Meeting adjourned at 7:25 p.m.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.